the true magic moments for me are when everyone is just listening to each other, and that's when something spontaneous can happen that you don't plan out. And that's when even the musicians are like, holy shit, what's going on right now? And then you just try to stay in that moment and not lose it as long as you can. And it's beautiful to be a part of and to watch.
It's like a weird, backwards, fucked up, just like perfect kind of family. It's weird. You know, it's you meet these people who, you know, one of my favorite things is just running around and just meeting new people here and figuring out, okay, where are they from? What's your story? Like, how'd you get into this stuff? Who are the bands that you like? And everyone's just so different, you know, but there's that commonality that runs through everybody because this is why we're all in the same place. And that's really cool to meet people who are about that. It's awesome.
Recorded live. Summer Camp Music Festival 2021. Shout out to Summer Camp. Fucking amazing festival. Unbelievable weekend. We got to interview Austin of Electric Orange Peel and Derek of Barefuzz this weekend. And yeah, 2 epic Columbus bands. Disclaimer, we were not able to do this in video format, so for all you used to listening on our YouTube at these videos we got just audio for this. But anyways, 2 awesome conversations with 2 amazing people. Without any further ado, this is the Weird Music Podcast, y'all.
I'm glad to be at summer camp, and this weekend feels really magical. I have a feeling it's going to be my favorite summer camp ever, and we're about to slay our set today.
Mm-hmm. Pinkies up, cold brewed down.
Yeah.
This is the Weird Music Podcast. We're making it happen. In what ways have psychedelics shaped not only your taste in music, but your approach to playing music?
I don't even know how to answer that. That's a deep question. But I'd say psychedelics have everything to do with the type of music that I like to play and believe in. I feel like to be a jam band that's doing type 2 improvisation, you have to be connected to like the universe, and you can't play well unless you're doing well and growing as a person. And psychedelics help you tap into that energy or whatever direction in the world. And the best you ever play is when you're like doing what you're supposed to do in life. And psychedelics have a big part of figuring that out.
Mm. So have you like played shows where you're just like not well connected and that's just like completely different than, you know, when you're kind of riding that wave?
Absolutely. I've played shows where I was like going through a major depression for about a year, and I still played really well, but it was like a sad, like I played like my feelings out, and I played a lot more bluesy and soulful. You can still play that well when you're like doing good and you're like in the zone, you're connected. But either way, you got to be feeling something deep to play really well. If you're just like floating through life and, you know, that's when you just kind of play notes or get in your head and try to do a cool lick, like, and it doesn't sound cool. Like, it has to just come from, you have to be at a certain place in your life and to play like the way that I feel is actually like magical.
This reminds me of a statement like, a lot of us think of ourselves as a drop in the ocean, but there's another way to think of it. It's like we're the entire ocean in a drop. One of the reasons I love improvisational music is like, you have to get out of your own way. You can't just be this individual player trying to like be heard front and center. You have to really meld with the band. And, you know, as someone on the inside looking out instead of us on the outside looking in, like, is that something you consciously orient yourselves to do to kind of get out of your own way and coalesce together? Or does that just like naturally happen based on how you play?
I think like for the great players, yeah, it's something that you're consciously doing, definitely. And I think for a lot of people that are in great bands, I think even if they don't think about it like that, it's like the people who are consciously getting out of their own way and trying to tap into something higher that sort of give off the energy to the rest of the band to do that too. Like, you know, anytime you hear about a really great player, the musicians who play with them always say they make everyone play better. Like, they can't play as well without that person. So I definitely think that's like super key to improvisational music. And while there's like times for, you know, just everyone trading solos and taking the spotlight, like the true magic moments for me are when everyone is just listening to each other, and that's when something spontaneous can happen that you don't plan out. And that's when even the musicians are like, holy shit, what's going on right now? And then you just try to stay in that moment and not lose it as long as you can. And it's beautiful to be a part of and to watch.
Do you kind of take it upon yourself to be a leader, to step up and bring your band into those moments? Or like, how does the specific dynamic of Electric Orange Peel, you know, click you guys into that magic that you're referring to?
I think that's definitely like my role in our band, but usually when I get into that zone is when I hear someone else play something really cool that like inspires me to ride off them. And then that's when that connection's kind of made. And then everyone's interconnected. Once even like one or two of us do, everyone else is like, oh shit, what are they doing? Like, let's go, you know?
Man, I love seeing Marco, his face when he's playing. Like, you play a lick and he gets so into it, and then you guys give him the solo, and then Nate is out here just fucking busting down these bass lines. You guys have a new drummer, right? Would you care to kind of introduce him now?
Yeah, for sure. It's Adam Hoffman, and I will just say he's one of the greatest musicians I've ever played with. He came to our first rehearsal already knowing our whole album all the way through perfectly, one run through of every song, and I was like, oh shit. And yeah, like the first time we ever like did a out there jam was at Sacred Harvest up in Grand Rapids, Ohio. And I remember just seeing the look on his face, like when we got into that moment that we're talking about and all being connected, and just seeing this like truly great musician who could play with anyone. Like, he got so stoked. He was smiling, and you could just, his energy just lit up. And then that jam was like, to that point, I thought the best jam we ever played as a band. And I was like, all right, we got something special going again. Let's make it happen. Because losing Dylan was hard, you know? We still love each other, but Dylan put his heart and soul into the band, and when he left, it was a big, like, what do we do now, you know? And then finding Adam was just like, oh my God, like, how could we get this lucky, you know? It's really cool. I can't wait to play with him today.
Well, again, I feel lucky living in Columbus. Like, in Columbus, we've got a tight-knit little scene there, and the bands, you know, Electric Orange Peel, Barefuzz, now Conscious Pilots left Columbus, you know, bands like Gunk, but like, we look to these bands as like the thing we do to release our stress. It's therapeutic. It's like cathartic. And I don't know if you actually think of it like this, but to be able to go see Electric Orange Peel shows like adds a lot of meaning to fans' lives. Like, especially with the lockdown, having no access to music and like our friend groups or anything like that, like, do you feel a significance in your kind of role in our little culture?
It means a lot, but you know, you forget it sometimes. But then you come here and I run into people all the time that are like, dude, your music is what got me and my girlfriend together and stuff like that. I'm just like, holy shit, like, that's amazing. Like, I can't believe we mean that much to people. It's awesome.
So like, I had seen Electric Orange Peel maybe like 15, 20 times in Columbus prior to my first summer camp in summer camp 2018. So I only knew you guys as the local band, but then I came here and there was like 300 or 400 people at the campfire stage, like just getting down, like, yo, this is my favorite band. I'm from like state XYZ and I'm so glad they're here. And it was like, whoa, like, wow, you guys really have been around.
Oh yeah.
So this is like your 7th or 8th summer camp. So I guess it's only my 3rd. Tell me about the tradition of summer camp. Like, we were just talking about Mo, the first Mo set. Like, as a festival in and of itself, like, what does summer camp just mean to you as Austin, a music fan, but then also to Electric Orange Peel?
Summer camp means absolutely everything. This is we played it every year since we've been a band. It's my favorite festival of all time by far. And, you know, I went here for the first time just as a patron. And the next year I was playing it and I couldn't even believe it, you know. And being back here now is amazing. Like, the vibes here are absolutely off the charts. I feel like this is going to be the best summer camp ever. And yeah, it's Mo's festival, so everything Mo does just has created this thing, and it's fucking amazing to watch them play, especially after Rob like getting sick and coming back. We're lucky. We're very lucky to be here. And,
Hell yeah. Super grateful. I mean, all bands draw influence from other bands. And Electric Orange Peel, you've got a certain kind of sound. You know, definitely these bands like Mo, Fish, etc. Like, obviously, you can hear elements of that in your music. And I want to ask you kind of, what specifically do you intend to draw from other bands, like your favorite bands? What about them do you hope is imbued into your music?
Definitely a little bit of everything. Like, I'm not one of those people that hears a band sound like another band and take that as a bad thing. I think it's beautiful, you know? And obviously we love Fish. Like, I've been chasing Trey's guitar tone my entire life. And I get closer and closer every day. And yeah, man, it's just, I love all the bands that I love, but there's parts of every band that I wish they did differently. So I basically try to take the good stuff that I love, and however I feel it should be a little different, I try to do that with our music, you know? Pretty much, yeah.
My final question. So if there's anyone out there listening who hasn't yet heard Electric Orange Peel's music, you know, definitely check it out. But let's say, you know, your proverbial uncle or younger cousin, like, how would you describe Electric Orange Peel to them?
I don't even know. I would just say it's like psychedelic groove fusion. You know, we're definitely a jam band, but we're in that realm of trying to tap into some psychedelic higher consciousness, make people vibe out with us, and we don't like to stick to any genre. We're trying to be as diverse as we possibly can, for better or worse, you know.
If you like free-form music that doesn't feel calculated, it doesn't feel like overly structured, but still can, you know, become a wave that fucking blows up into like a tsunami. It's intense shit. Austin shreds, you know, like you said, he's chasing Trey's tone. Man, if you got a chance to check out Electric Orange Peel, do it. Shout out to Summer Camp for making this interview possible, for having Electric Orange Peel 7-8 years, you know. I look forward to seeing you on the Mo stage as you guys continue to grow. And man, maybe we'll see an Austin Crumrine sit-in with Mo. What do you think?
Oh yeah, if the boys would have me, I'd love to be up there, baby. That's for sure.
Well, this has been the Weird Music Podcast. Stay weird, y'all.
Hell yeah.
So here we are at Summer Camp Music Festival 2021 on the Weird Music Podcast with Barefuzz. We got Derek Petrucci here. Derek, man, I remember the Summer Camp Battle of the Bands 2019. That was probably the biggest Barefuzz show, the most on-fire Barefuzz show I had ever been to. And, you know, to see the trajectory of your band now, and, you know, your set last night on the Illumination stage, people were getting down. My first question I want to ask you, what does this festival mean to Barefuzz as a band?
Oh man, this festival means a lot to us as a band, to me personally a lot as well. I mean, this was one of the first festival I ever went to was Bonnaroo in 2016, and then I came here in 2017, and just immediately fell in love with this place. I mean, I remember seeing like Primus on the Moonshine stage here, and that was like a really big kind of moment of just being like, wow, there's so much you can do with visuals and production. The vibe here has always been the same. I mean, when you like step foot here, you're like, okay, I know exactly. I'm right back here in the same place. For us, that show, the Battle of the Bands back in 2019, was a huge show. I mean, we really like pounded the pavement hard in terms of trying to get people out there and spread the word and everything like that. And that was our first time really doing anything like that. And to see the reception we got that night And to kind of achieve that goal, you set a goal, and it's like, hey, let's get here. Here's what we need to do. And then to be able to go in there and have a great show. The room was electric that night too. I mean, it was, I still look back as that's definitely one of my favorite shows of ours. But now to be here, to play 2 sets this year, we'll play again on Sunday, is super cool. I mean, just to be a part of this festival, and hopefully for years to come, I love this place. I can't say enough good things about it. Anyone I talk to about it say this is the best spot for sure.
Yeah, like conversations last night, my man Chuck, who I'm camping with, is his first year here. He's like, okay, man, like I've been to Bonnaroo, and this is like Bonnaroo, but it's way better. It's way more accessible, and the reason it's better is like Bonnaroo has a lot of pop music, and I feel like this is like the pinnacle for improvisational music, and it's super cool how, like you mentioned, Primus, they have Mo, Umphreys, all these bands that are so acclaimed, but then also huge crowds for bands like Barefuzz that are still on the come up. So with that, I want to shift the conversation to improvisation. And, we're improvising this interview right now. Why is it that improvisational music is what you and with Barefuzz have gravitated towards? Like, what does the improvisational element add to your band?
It's funny. The improv piece was never even something that we discussed really. When we started the bands, what we would do is basically just come over to my house and just play. We had no sort of direction. I would just start playing something, or Adam would start playing something, and we would just play for hours. And it's gotten to a point now where when I see my favorite bands who improvise, there's something really cool that happens when, if you know the songs well and you're going to see a band and you say, okay, that song, all the parts of that song that I know that are released is over. This now is totally fresh and in the moment. The whole crowd can kind of lock into that and realize, hey, what's happening right now is only happening here. You know what I mean? It's because it's almost impossible to do something totally in the moment and then try to recreate it again. If we listen to recordings that we do or something like that and then try to recreate it, yeah, you can get close, but you can't capture that same energy that you have in the moment. And the thing that I think is the most powerful thing about improving and improvisational music in a live setting is it's all about the set and setting. Here you get performances that you're not going to get anywhere else because of what the energy is at this place. Like the Moonshine stage is one of my favorite stages to see any kind of music on. And there's a crazy energy over there. I mean, something just happens on that stage. Something happens here, and it's different than what happens at a Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo also has its own magic, as does Resonance and all the other festivals. But when you're improving and letting the moment take over and letting that kind of guide how you're going to go, you just get these moments of just magic. Like, and that's really what it is. It is magic. I mean, I think if you look at the best improving bands throughout time, obviously you have like the Grateful Dead and Fish and all those, like the easy answers. All those people who are going to those shows, you don't go to 300 shows to see the same show every time. You're going there because each time it's going to be a unique experience that's going to be incredibly special that you can kind of take with you from there.
One thing I'm really curious about, especially with bands who are so good at improvising, it's like to prepare to improvise is kind of a paradox, because like improvising is, I'll let you kind of put it into terms, but it's unstructured, it's uncalculated. So in a Barefuzz practice or before you go on stage at summer camp, like maybe it is unspoken, but what do you think it is that you guys do that allow you to be great improvisers?
I think, so our practices really kind of follow a really similar layout every time. I mean, we always pretty much open with some sort of open jam, whether it's an exercise where we're kind of listening to each person and kind of going in a circle, whether it's just totally open and whatever happens. I think for shows, we do try to lay things out where it'll be, okay, this jam will go this way, or we'll key change into this song and set up segues and stuff like that. One thing that I really like and we've been kind of pushing ourselves towards is having sets that really don't stop, just continuously playing and setting them up so that all the songs can go in and out of each other.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think that another big thing too is kind of like the talking aspect of it. It's like going and playing a song and then talking for 2 minutes and then playing another song, you get out of what the actual vibe of the show is. So I think as much as you're able to continue that trajectory, it's just all the more powerful that way, because everyone kind of just gets worked up into a frenzy that way, including us. Our practices really, I mean, aren't anything exceptional. I think, like, in terms of musical ability and everything like that, I'm sure there's more talented bands or whatever. I think what we try to shoot for is just like an organic feel, that whatever's coming out is natural, it's organic, we try to be really rhythmically tight but also really relaxed as well. That's what I think allows us to be able to hit some really cool things.
Yeah, like there's this one band I like, I'm not going to name them, and after every one of their songs they're like, yeah, so we're this band, and man, I'm glad you guys are having fun. All right, we're about to go into this next tune, and I feel like the whole room like sit back on their heels when that happens.
Yeah, it can suck the energy out of a room, and I have nothing against people who do it. I think that's part of the show as well. I really think if you have an hour's worth of time to play, for us that's like not that much. We're like, man, we want more. So if we have an hour's worth of time, I want like 58 or 59 minutes of that to be music. Maybe stop somewhere in the middle for us to take a break, for everyone else to take a break, but after that, just keep it rolling. Just keep the party going, let people continue to have fun, continue to dance, and kind of just provide that space for it.
So for anyone out there who doesn't know, Derek also dabbles in some electronic production. I think Hype Leak,
yeah,
we call it. I know you're a big like Tipper fan. Tipper will be playing this weekend. I think it'd be cool to talk to you. Like, does music like Tipper at all influence you as a drummer and Barefuzz as a band? Like, what kind of connections are drawn between that?
100%. I mean, that electronic music is not my first love, but certainly was one of the first things that really, really clicked for me. And I think Tipper specifically and his whole kind of crew that's associated with them, there's artists like Jade Cicada and Detox Unit and all these guys who they have so much emphasis on percussion, they have so much emphasis on tight drums and really just kind of experimental sounds that, I mean, a lot of the times when I play, if I'm not just doing regular practice like rudiments and stuff, I'll play to electronic music and try to bring in elements of how those drums are to our stuff, which I think kind of provides an opportunity for us to appeal to that crowd a little bit. I think there's kind of like the prototypical electronic buildup where, it's like boom, 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 boom. And like when people are able to expect what's going to come next, they like that. You know what I mean? If they know that, hey, this is building up, it's about to, like drop or whatever it is, I think it provides kind of an opportunity for everyone to get on the same page. And that's what I think electronic music does really well, is it's easy to follow. It's simple in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a lot of complex stuff going on, but it is, at the end of the day, pretty simple drum patterns and, bass noises that just are cool sounding. So I think it definitely influences me a lot. I'm very influenced by, like, heavy metal was really the first music genre that I got very interested in, and that was probably the first thing that really clicked for me. And I try to incorporate some of that kind of stuff as well, like double bass patterns and stuff like that can just kind of bring the intensity of things up a little bit.
So what do you think it is about the live music experience, whether it's, just people coming together or the tension and release, like you mentioned, to build up, and then how that, segues into a resolution that, it can almost feel euphoric, but it's still kind of a mystery. And I'm curious to hear from you. Why do you think it is that the live music experience can be just so profound?
I think I've thought about this a lot because it's so weird. I mean, if you just kind of look at it from a third person point of view, if you were in, an airplane or something, go above some of this, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, what is this? I think a big aspect of it is you have a lot of people, sometimes thousands or tens of thousands of people that are all on the same page. It's like if you think about something like sports or something like that, which can capture a similar kind of excitement and energy, there's two different sides to it. There's like, you're cheering for this team, you're cheering for this team. In this space, everyone's cheering for the same thing. You're all there for the same goal, which is to have a great time, to see like some of your favorite artists. And I think that when you have that many people collectively on a similar wavelength, that's when some really powerful shit can open up. Everyone's thinking about the same thing. We're all thinking about the music. You're with your friends. There's like the energy just kind of takes over. And I think It's something you can only get in person. You know, I think last year when everything was shut down and there was live streams and stuff like that, it was cool. It was a great placeholder, you know, to be able to get that. But there's nothing like a live concert. Like there's, especially if it's a live concert that puts emphasis on improvising and having stuff happen in the moment, because everyone's getting excited by the same thing. You know, the crowd's getting excited by the same thing that the band is. Sometimes you can tell a band's like, what is going on right now? Like, they turn into vehicles for something super powerful. But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of unexplainable. You know, it's something we've done as long as humans have been around. We've played music and made noises and stuff like that and danced, and there's something very like primal about it. I think it really cuts into people at their deepest core in a lot of ways.
I like how you said that. That's a fucking awesome answer. Like, vehicles for something much greater, you know, that makes me want to ask this next question just about music in general. You know, it's existed before politics. It's existed before the Yankees versus Red Sox, the Ohio State versus Michigan. And, you know, my first thought when I say that is like, how in the hell did music even get born, like created? And, you know, there's a lot of different ways to answer that. People like to talk about like, oh, the birds and the wind are music. But to make this a little more concrete, like, do you see music as something inherently spiritual? And, you know, if so, why would you describe it as that?
I certainly do. I mean, I'm a spiritual person in general. Like, I really try to connect with that side of things. I think it's because it all really comes down to vibrations. I mean, and vibrations are, you know, if you think about like in meditation or whatever, it's like the like that is a vibration that is kind of, that runs through the world and through all people. I think the same thing happens with music. You're making these vibrations that hit your body in certain ways, hit your ears in certain ways. And I think it just opens up that door to the other side where, you know, if you're sitting in a silent room, only so many things can really happen. If you're listening to music, it can take you to different places emotionally. It can take you to different places spiritually. I mean, I think about so many times when I've been at a concert or a festival or something, and I'll have these realizations about just my life. Like, man, why am I fucking up in this area? Or like, why am I doing this? And it can be extremely therapeutic. And I think that it opens up that other door to allow you, it makes people vulnerable, I think. You know, it puts you in like almost like a childlike state. And when you're able to not worry about being judged, or, you know, not worry about like, oh man, you can just kind of be in your head and work through things like that. I mean, I think it would be great if everybody in the world was able to go to live music and have those kinds of experiences, because it's therapy in a lot of ways. You know, you come out of something like this, obviously you're tired, you know, and obviously falling out from everything else that happens here, but you do feel refreshed. You get that rejuvenation, and you're like, man, okay, things are all right. Like things are okay.
I love that you said vulnerable too, because I feel like being an improvisational musician, it's one of the most vulnerable things you could do.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like there's like thousands of people here at summer camp, you know, hanging on every note, and you guys don't even know what the next 4 bars are. Like, you're totally hanging in the wind there.
I'm terrified at all times that I'm gonna just fuck something up. It's like, especially if things are really like, you know, getting to a peak. I start feeling so anxious. I'm like, I am gonna ruin this. Like, I'm gonna fuck something up, and everyone's gonna stop dancing and be like, what just happened? But that's like the excitement of it. That's the rush that you get when you do pull off performances like you see happen here. It's just like, holy shit, man, that was on the spot. How's that even possible?
And I think that vulnerability, just like putting it all out there, it's risky. I think that's also part of the reason, like you just said, it's so exhilarating as a fan to know that and to see it happen in real time in this one way where it'll never happen that way again.
Yeah.
So going even deeper down this, as an improvisational musician, like, do things that pertain to, you know, staying more true to the improv, to being a better improviser, do those things bleed over into other aspects of life? Do they help you in any way? Like, are there any, you know, I guess points you could draw into being a better person from the scope of just being a better musician?
That's a really good question, man. I think, yes, I think there is. I think there is kind of that go with the flow mentality that comes with improving. I don't know if I consciously think about how that affects like daily life, but I'm such a person who can get so in my own head and get so ahead of myself, and you go in these thought holes where it's like, man, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with this? And you start freaking out and making yourself, anxious or on edge. And I think like what this kind of brings you back to is, dude, just go with it. It's okay. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like if you're able to just stay in the moment, and I think maybe that's the biggest thing about this whole thing is that it puts people in the moment. It puts people in the present moment. You can flutter away from that for a little bit and you think about this or that. But if you're able to just kind of take a breath and just be like, hey, I'm thinking right now. Like stop thinking. Let's just enjoy this. I think it really does give you that tool to be able to take advantage of that. And I think that a lot of issues I have and people have and everything is we just are so out of that present moment. You're always so worried about everything else. Being able to just dial into that one moment, it gives you an opportunity to just decompress. You know what I mean? You can just take it in. And I think with music, at least with us, I look forward to our practices so much because it's an opportunity for me to just kind of escape like daily life. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, we're just playing music. Like we're just having fun, and that's really just what it comes back to.
And how cool is that when you like all five of you guys, you let go and you alluded to it earlier, like this thing greater than any one of us just kind of takes over.
Dude, it's magic. I mean, it really is magical. And it's funny too, because I think about all my friends, essentially every single like good friend that I have is through music, either meeting them at festivals, connecting about a band or something like that. I mean, I look at the people that surround me, I'm like, man, this is all through music. And like that, when music stopped, last year, I was like, holy shit. I was like, what do I do? I was like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't like to go out to like bars or, I like to just go be around people who like music because I think that there's this thing gathers up a ton of just misfits. It's people that come from all walks of life. A lot of people who come from, like past, like maybe traumatic experiences or whatever, like something in the music resonates with them. And I think you find a lot of like-minded people here who are just cool to just do their thing and let you do their thing. And I think that's really, really cool.
There's got to be a certain like life experience that has to happen to click someone into that state of vulnerability, like letting that voice in our head kind of not have so much weight and to really just let go and give in to where, like, I feel like the normal person born in America is way like dominated by that voice in their head. Yeah. So this whole, everything we're talking about now almost kind of runs counter to that perspective. And it's really cool to see that you say misfits, but like everyone fits in really well here. Perfect. There's thousands of people. It's like a culmination of these like-minded individuals.
It's like a weird, backwards, fucked up, just like perfect kind of family. It's weird. It's you meet these people who, one of my favorite things is just running around and just meeting new people here and figuring out, okay, where are they from? What's your story? Like, how'd you get into this stuff? Who are the bands that you like? And everyone's just so different, but there's that commonality that runs through everybody because this is why we're all in the same place. And that's really cool to meet people who are about that. It's awesome.
And you mentioned the great lockdown. And shit, man, that was tough for all of us. And with music being something so therapeutic, like the looks on the faces of the Barefuzz show, how healing that is, and how really like these shows are a centerpiece of our lives that give it true meaning. Like, with that being said, what does it mean to you to have your kind of role in this community to be the musician?
I love it, man. I'm super grateful for it. When I started coming to festivals and things like that, Bonnaroo was really the place where I had just kind of a big aha moment of, I want to fucking do this. I love what's happening here. I love what this is making happen. And that really sparked a big, just piece of it, like just inspiration in general. It's being able to, hopefully at some point, like sustain yourself on this. And because I'm not worried about making a ton of money. I don't really give a shit about that. I want to be able to do this and survive on it, and being able to play a role in that, the entertainment aspect of it, where not only am I able to come here and enjoy as just a total fan of everybody, but also to be able to add to the experience. Maybe somebody has a great time at our set. Like, that's fucking awesome. I mean, it makes me feel like I kind of deserve to be here. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, you do.
Yeah, it's like we did our work, we did our part here. And that feels really good. I think I would love to get more involved in other aspects of this space, festival planning and everything like that. I really love what's going on in Columbus with WhatFest. I came out of that weekend incredibly inspired. I'd shout out to all those guys, Ryan,
dude,
and all them. Those guys are
I want to second that. Like, that What Festival, holy shit, what an amazing thing.
That's something that I've known Ryan for a good amount of time. Ryan McKee, who we're talking about, he runs What Music and Arts Festival. I've known him for a long time, and what I've always just examined at those things is these either it's the festival or events they put on, whatever, are so well curated, and they're so good at setting up this just vibe. And I was coming out of that week, I was like, man, I want to try to do this too. Like, I want to try to set up something like this as well. And because I think the more of those you have, the better, But to circle back to your initial question, it's definitely an honor, man. I mean, I always look at our name on a bill with somebody like a Tipper or Ween or whoever it is, and even though it's so far away from their names, it's just cool that I can have that piece of paper for when I'm 60 years old and look at that and just be like, yeah, dude, we were in there, we were doing it. I save all of our set lists. I have journal entries from every show we've ever played. I have all my concert tickets, and I'll keep the festival wristbands and everything. Like, I love to save that stuff because you never know when you're not going to be able to do this. So being at a point right now, being young, being able to make the connections that we have and everything, I'm just super grateful for it, man. I couldn't be any more excited about it, and just very thankful for everyone who's helped us get to where we are now. And I think we have a great crew of people behind us, and like continue to do it.
Yeah, and one of the beautiful things about summer camp is they do have all these artists, not just 8 to 20 headliners and midliners, and those people have to start somewhere.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
And it's like bottling time. I can't imagine what the summer camp lineup's going to look like in 2028. Summer camp is also one of the greatest, my favorite companies in the world. Yeah. Like, this is a staple of my life. I think the first interview I ever did was at summer camp, and like you mentioned, like, a lot of my greatest friends I've met at events like summer camp.
Well, and something's what I've kind of been thinking a lot too is something certainly is happening in terms of maybe not this year or 5 years down the line, but there's certainly a changing of the guard happening in the scene. I think a lot of the big hitters in the scene right now, the Humphreys, Moe's, and all those bands, they really, came up during that like kind of late 90s, early 2000s, and they've been doing this thing for a long time. Widespread Panic, Cheese, all those bands have kind of been the kings of this for a long time. And I think, not that I don't want those bands to keep playing forever, because I love all those bands, but at some point the next kind of crop of those bands has to pop up. And I think we're seeing it right now. I think there's some bands that are emerging that you can tell they have a really bright future ahead. I hope that we can get in there too. But it is cool though. I love meeting these new bands. I think a really cool set that I caught yesterday was Pushing Daisy's band. They're from Indianapolis, I believe. That's a band that we just like connected with online because we play a lot of the same places and everything as them. They sound fucking awesome. You have really cool bands coming out, and I think this scene is in really, really good hands moving forward.
I'm curious, as someone who, you're involved in music business, you have your own band, what are some consistencies, some common themes of, musically and then also non-musically, that these bands, the Widespread Panics, the Humphreys, the Moe, etc., what do they do right? And like, how do you think you can, yes, make it your own, but also model after them to kind of, as you are paving your own path?
I think it's mainly two things. I think first off, it's the organization. They have such good teams behind them and so many good people involved that help move the whole thing along. I mean, putting on a show like a string cheese show or something like that, that takes so much work. There's so many people involved in that. And so they have that piece locked in. I guess there's three parts. I think the other part is they got out and just did it. They just played tons of shows everywhere, nonstop for years, and built that grassroots following of people who had seen them live. I think those are two pieces of it. And then two, it's just, you have to have the music aspect of it too. People have to connect with your music, and those bands, you know, if you look at really those bands right now, they all have something very unique, but oddly similar as well. They can play totally different types of music. Cheese is more on that bluegrass side. Mo's more on like the psychedelic rock side. Humphreys is more that progressive rock, technical stuff. You know, you have a band like Fish, who, I mean, you listen to any band playing at this festival right now, you're going to hear an element of Fish in it. They have unique music, they have an insane work ethic, and they have everything organized to a point where they're able to pull off huge events and do those things.
I love it. Well, we're here at Summer Camp 2021. This has been a fantastic interview with the great Derek Petrucci of Barefuzz. And I can't wait to see how far these guys go. I've probably been to 25, 30, maybe 35 Barefuzz shows.
Dude, you've been in a ton of them.
Man, and the most recent ones I've been at are increasingly, they were great, and they're getting even better. And I'm so, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't heard Barefuzz, yes, listen to them on Spotify, but catch them live. And man, such great answers here.
Oh yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you for making this happen. As my final question, man, Barefuzz aside, just Derek, as a fan, you know, spiritually speaking, what does a weekend like this mean to you? Everything, especially after not being able to do this last year. This means everything, man. I mean, just like seeing friends that I haven't seen in a long time, coming out here with the band, having those connections. I mean, I live for this. I mean, this is the most meaningful thing to me, and to be able to participate in it and play in it is an absolute honor. And I'm excited for the future, man. I think there's a lot of crazy shit going on right now, and you know, we've worked through it, and now, you know, whatever. But I'm incredibly grateful. This fills me every time with optimism and energy and inspiration every time. So, I mean, I love this place. Shout out to all the people who put this thing on, because it's fucking beautiful, and I can't wait to hopefully be a part of it for years to come.
Hell yeah. Well, this has been Barefuzz on the Weird Music Podcast. Listen this far, man. Woman. Much love.
Thank you for listening. Shout out to the sponsor, SEM Tickets. We love y'all. We'll see you real soon. And I want to give one more big shout out to Ohio's own Sacred Harvest Music Festival. Octave Cat with Eli from Dopapod, Jesse from Lotus, Cheesecake with Hauser and Chucky Love, Bacano, Sub T. We'll be there the last weekend of September, and hope to see you there as well. Much love, y'all.